Hey everybody, this is Annalise Harris, founder of Curls on the Block. I'm really excited to be going live today. Happy Friday, and I want to dive right in. We have amazing guests ready to share their experiences and insight into the Black tax. And so many of you are privy to the Black tax because we live it every day. Some of you are joining and you may be wanting to know more about it. And before we jump in, I just want to say thank you again for joining on a Friday. I have some cool news. The Curls on the Block merchandise store has some deals for you all. And at the bottom here is a ticker code. If you go to the Curly store, and I'll post that link later, you can actually get the access to the Madam C.J. Walker virtual escape room. It's a free download with the Curly Commandment code. It is one of the ways Curls on the Block has pivoted to provide programming because of COVID-19 limitations. So thanks again for joining. Definitely look out for the merchandise store. Remember Curly Commandment. We have a pre-order opportunity as well for our 10 Curly Commandment kit. And so definitely check it out on the Curls on the Block store, okay? Just for a brief history, for those of you joining, I am going to highlight some information for you, just so you know about the Black tax, okay? So, the Black tax, conversations on the Black experience in the hair and beauty industry. Here's the definition of the Black tax in general. The Black tax is the financial cost of discrimination against Black people in America by people and or institutions that have conscious or unconscious anti-Black bias. And that definition is provided from Sean Rochester, who wrote the book, literally, The Black Tax, The Cost of Being Black in America. And you can see the Black tax as that is just defined in different industries. Today, we're going to highlight that experience in the hair and beauty industry, okay? Did you know that Black people in America own just 2% of the US wealth? This means that 1.4 million businesses with employees, 6 million jobs associated with those businesses, and well over $8 trillion in wealth that should belong to the Black community is simply not there. That's a quote from his book as well. Let's look into the hair and beauty industry, what this value is in billions, my friends, billions. There's a projection here for 2025, which is only 4 years away. You know, you might have a high school freshman by the time they're ready for college. The hair and beauty industry value is going to be over $105 billion industry, right? The Black experience and, the Black experience in the beauty and hair industry. We're going to highlight a few of the experiences that exist. Korean relationships in Black communities, locking up supplies in those big box companies and stores, and the desire to look good for our ease of navigating workplaces and also building self-care and our grooming habits. Here's some headlines from different articles from the New York Times, from Essence, from other online media, highlighting how the Korean relationships in Black communities are really pervasive and impact our young girls and Black community. As you see, we have a Korean store owner and a Black employee in a tense neighborhood. I mean, these relationships exist. 4 teens locked inside of a beauty store in Virginia because of being racially profiled. I mean, locked in. These are teenagers at a store, falsely accused of stealing. Okay. And looking at the Black experience, we also are subject to some really clear discriminatory practices, locking up the products from a Walmart. I mean, this is one example. It also exists in CVS, and Walgreens has been accused of these things as well. So, as you see, for Walmart in particular, the particular case has been actually handled. However, Walmart was required to stop locking up those products. And if you have visited any of these, any big chains, sometimes they've actually altered the way that you actually purchase these products. And that includes having a cash register in the beauty and hair area, the hair supply area. So in order to even leave it, you have to buy your product right there. It's craziness. And it's just not the same for folks who use Pantene. Let's just be real. Also, the Black experience is a desire to look good for ease of navigating our workplaces, right? It's self-esteem, right? We have to have confidence when working with different folks who may not understand our hair or have some comments about it. And just navigating in this world where European standards of beauty are very prevalent. We have certain requirements and needs to fulfill for healthy grooming and habits, right? And actually, a senior multicultural analyst, Toya Mitchell, says a majority of Black consumers say that their priorities about appearance have not changed through the pandemic. And so what that means is people are still going to pay. And that goes back to the industry, the value of the hair and beauty industry. It is not declining. In fact, it is going to sustain. So that's definitely one area to consider investment, you know, and who's leading that is what we'll look into next. Black ownership. Here's some headlines. There's sisters who were in California, who were teenagers, well, young adults, 19, 21, started their own beauty supply in California. $50,000 was made in Nashville, Tennessee in the first 3 hours of opening for a Black-owned beauty supply, the first one in that area. Paris McKenzie is in Brooklyn, New York, and opened her store during the pandemic. So she's seen as a 16-year-old, as a store owner, some great success with support using online. There's also a number of other Black-owned beauty supplies stores opening, and it's on the rise. However, with that Black ownership, some of the things that will come up in our conversations with our guests include the financial hardships and being locked out of this industry that has typically been really dominated by Korean connections. And there are many limitations that come as a Black owner of a beauty supply store. And we'll get to hear from folks who actually can give their personal experience on that. I have some references, and if you're interested in the slideshow, please let me know. I will definitely post that later. So now I would love for an opportunity to talk to Will. And Will doesn't have his camera on, so just bear with us. He is going to be added to the stream now, and it's going to be the two of us just chatting. Will is actually a representative of a really prominent Korean-owned beauty, well, a hair care company for braiding hair in particular. Will, and you can introduce yourself how you would like and whatever you want. But I'm just grateful that you're willing to jump on this call and give us some insight. And if you could give us your background and your title, and just start with your experience working in this hair braiding company.
Yeah, well, it's an honor to be here. Can you hear me?
A little bit. Yes.
Okay, I'll try to talk louder.
Yeah,
does that help?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Will. I am the digital marketing manager for a company that actually does make braiding hair. I think for the protection of my company, I won't say the name. But you know, I've been working there for the past 2.5 years. And it's actually, I've learned a lot. I've met many, many great people. But I am Korean American, but I was born in America and I've grown up with diverse friends. I've had black friends, white friends, Hispanic friends, and I grew up in a neighborhood where it was very diverse. So when I came into the braiding industry, because they needed somebody to help out with marketing, I was so surprised to find out that most of it was owned by Asians and owned by Koreans. And I asked the questions, well, why is it owned by Asians? And they said, well, Asians look for business opportunities, and the business opportunities were there for braiding industry. I studied a little bit of history. I realized that a lot of the fiber, a lot of the chemicals that are used in the braiding here actually came over from Korea and from some of these Asian countries, which allowed some of these Asian business owners to get involved. But it's definitely Asian dominated, that's for sure.
Yes, as we know, right? We see the statistics, some of the headlines that I even was able to put on the presentation, definitely Asian dominated and Korean, mostly, right? Connections. So, in your experience advocating for the investment in Black women beauty supply stores, what would you say was some feedback you received in regards to saying, hey, Black women ownership is on the rise, how can we work with them? Did you have any pushback, or were you received well? What was that like?
Yeah, so the first time I went in, so I wanted to create my team, right? So I reached out to a few braiders. They joined the marketing team. And so we actually went out. I wanted to meet with the people. So I I I went into an area of town where I knew there were a lot of salons. And so I walked in, just wanted to talk to them, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. Like, what are you doing here? And I was surprised because I'm like, why is everybody looking at me weird? Why are they so, cold to me? Why are they so rude to me? And I realized after talking to some of them, it's not so much that they were being rude to me. They were just responding to the way they had been treated for many years. Right? You see an Asian man walk in there, you're automatically assuming, oh, he just wants to make money off of me. And so I remember speaking to this one lady who was actually in charge of a school. And I'm very thankful, and I'll never forget this. She looked at me and said, you Asians only care about yourselves. You guys make the hair, you guys sell it to the beauty supply stores, and that's all you care about. And again, me being new to this industry, that was a shocker. And so I went back to the company, and I asked, like, hey, this is what they're saying. Like, is this true? And if it is true, what are we doing about it? And unfortunately, it is true. The problem is, most of the beauty supply stores are owned by Asians, are owned by Koreans, and they don't want the companies to sell directly to the consumers because they're going to lose out on the money. So what happens is they put pressures on these hair making companies, these manufacturers, to not sell directly to the consumers. If you do, either you'll be boycotted, or this is how they think. And so they're trying to keep the money for themselves. And so what I did with our team is, we said we need to fix this. Now, when we first brought this to our company, our owners, and again, most of them are Korean, they didn't like the idea because they thought that we would pretty much upset all the beauty supply store owners. And the last thing we want to do is upset our bread and butter, right? Upset the people that are making us money. So they were saying, why are you trying to ruin something that is good? Why are you going out and making problems? We didn't hire you to create problems. We hired you to solve the problems and connect with the African American community. And it took a little bit, almost 2 years really, but it took a lot of convincing, but a lot of the things that has actually happened is 400% black owned businesses have gone up 400% the past couple of years, right? And you're beginning to see um, black owned beauty supply store owners. You're beginning to see more salons open, right? And so one of the things I feel like that the Asian people, the Koreans need to recognize is that your old way of thinking, like, oh, the black community, if I go in there and I make a beauty supply store, they're going to have to buy from me. Not anymore. This is 2000. This is 2021, right? You're beginning to see um, the the buying power from the African American community going up. You're beginning to see more women going into the beauty industry, creating their own businesses. You're beginning to see that. And this is what I believe, and this is what I've told my companies, and I've told this to fellow beauty supply store owners. I said within 10 years, and I honestly believe this, I think within 10 years, we're going to see a shift from it being mostly owned and dominated by African Americans. And I think you're going to begin to see Asian owners begin to lose their business because of their approach, because of their mindset, and because of the way they've handled themselves the past, what, 20, 30 years, right? And so I believe that if most companies do not recognize that, I think they're in trouble.
Wow, you said a lot there, and I appreciate you. And man, what would you say as far as, do you think there's any opportunity to mend relationships with the Korean community and the Black community? Um, do you have any suggestions or ideas to do that could maybe foster a better relationship?
Well, I hope so, but I also believe it's really up to the younger generation. I would say people like me, Korean Americans like me.
Yeah.
Um, you know, to be honest, Korean Americans like me don't have a great relationship with our parents either.
Mm,
They're so it has to be straight A's. You have to be a doctor. You have to be a lawyer. That's just their mindset. And I do understand because they come from a country usually that was so poor that all they see is dollars, right?
mhm.
And that's our relationship with our parents. So we don't have great relationship with our parents, but hopefully we can go and fix what some of our parents did, right? And so if there are younger entrepreneurs that are going into this business, I think the biggest thing is recognize that number one, this isn't our field. Like if you want to work in this industry, number one, you have to recognize and you have to respect your consumers. And then I would suggest that you find a partner that's a braider that's in that industry and work together because a lot of the frustrations I have with new products coming out is have you spoken to the braiders? Have you actually asked the people if this is what they want or is this what's profitable for you? Like have you thought about actually making a product that is healthy, right? Instead of putting in cheap products that creates baldness and itchiness, have you thought about making it better for them, right? If you make it better for them, if they earn your trust, maybe we can mend some of these relationships. But until you fix that, if it's just let's put in cheap products, I don't care about their health, let's just make money, then it's never going to fix itself. So, um, I will say this, in our company, and actually, if there are some listeners out there, and you may actually know which company it is when I say this, but one of the things that our marketing team have done, and finally I've gotten our CEO to jump on board, is this year we've created actually a National Braiders Day, right? 2 years ago, we attempted it and we attempted to make it actually nationally recognized. But our very first year, we didn't have enough information, and so they denied us. Last year, we made another video. We tried it again, but again, they denied us. Well, this year, we've actually invested a lot of money into this. And this year, on August 8th, our third year doing this, it will actually be nationally recognized as National Braiders Day on August 8th, right? And one of the things that we're trying to do is we understand that, we've interviewed, this braider in Texas who was actually arrested many years ago simply for braiding, right?
ISIS.
Isis Brantley.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've interviewed her because we wanted to hear her story. We wanted to know the history, and we wanted, again, the way I market, the way I do it is, listen, I'm not going to do it if it's just all about the money. It's like, let's go make a difference, let's make a change. That's why I'm in marketing. And I know we kind of had this conversation the very first time we met, right?
Yeah.
And that was my frustration with a lot of the people in the industry. But we created National Braiders Day. It'll be August 8th. And one of the reasons why we created this is we understood that, braiding is such an art and it's such a cultural thing, and it's so beautiful. Yet there are people out there like my people that are just trying to make a butt off of it without understanding the history. But I understood there aren't enough accessories, there aren't enough products out there that target specifically braiders. Braiders have to go find other products that's meant for other people, other cultures, and they have to somehow find ways to use it for themselves. And so figured, what we need to do? We need to make braiders nationally recognized for their history, for everything they've gone through. And I hopefully through this, we paid a lot of money for it to be nationally recognized. But this year, because it's nationally recognized, the National Braiders Day is actually gonna be sent out to 10,000 reporters across this country. So hopefully, with it being recognized, maybe finally we can bring some recognition to the braiders, and we can finally begin to do something good, and maybe hopefully mend the relationships between the Black community and the Korean community.
Wow. That's beautiful, Will. I'm really grateful again that you're able to share your experience and, perspective that actually, I think validates the experience we already knew existed. We know what happens. We've felt it. There's documented examples of discriminatory behavior when walking into establishments, being followed, and then, as we'll learn a little bit more, being boxed out. Can you speak a little to, if you have any perspective on this, accessibility and limitations that Black beauty supply owners might actually be facing due to that? And I guess you actually kind of mentioned it already. You already said that the lack of desire to really sell straight to consumer was feeling like they would lose out on a lot of money. But currently, are there any actions that are like deliberately in place that limit beauty supply owners who are not Korean that you know of?
I will say in our company, that is something we don't do. Actually, I'm personally, connected with a lot of Black-owned beauty supply stores that are in the Arlington area, and one in Denton. And what I do is I go up there and I meet with them. Even one of the beauty supply stores actually in Arlington, it was her anniversary. So what I did was I went out there, took my marketing team, set up a tent. We actually got the Dallas Wings, the WNBA Dallas Wings involved to give away free tickets. We gave away free products just to celebrate that she lasted a year, right? And so our company, we don't do that. Now I can't speak for other companies.
Yeah.
But I will say, when you have only Korean speaking salesmen and you only have Korean workers, there has to be a language barrier. There has to be. I can't say that it doesn't exist just because of that. If a Korean lady walks up, they're going to be friendly. They're going to be hi. They're going to say hi. They're going to joke. When an African American lady comes in, you're not really going to have that because they don't really speak the language. I will say that our company, I know for a fact, does not do that because I'm involved in those. But I can't say it doesn't exist. I'm sure it does.
Did you have any negative experiences before your company jumped on? Did you feel like you were kind of one in a million advocating for issues? Like, how did that feel for you, being more willing to step outside of a comfort zone or the previous boxes that existed? How was that for you? How were you received?
Yeah. I almost quit 3 months into it. because I was just so frustrated. And our company is fairly new. We've been around maybe 3 years. And there are other big companies that have been around for many, many years. One of the things that frustrated me the most was looking at these companies. I looked at their marketing to see how they market so I could learn from them.
Hmm.
What was so frustrating was that there was nothing I could learn from them because they were all doing it wrong.
Oh man.
There
Wow.
was absolutely nothing that I could learn from them because it had never been about um the health and what benefits the African American community. It had all been about themselves and how much money they can make, and I just never understood their marketing strategies. And so a lot of the things I've heard from other companies and say, why are they doing that? They're wasting their time and money on these things. And I'm thinking the fact that you guys have never even thought about some of the things that I want to do, and I've been here 3 months, just shows you that there's been a big problem.
Yeah. Man, I again really appreciate your words. And I think I've wrung out all of the things that I could think about. And, if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in. And, Will, I just appreciate your time. And I know that, you have another obligation. So I would just like to say thank you again, and we'll be looking out for that National Hair Braiders Day. I actually have a pending appointment with ISIS in Texas, so I am excited because she is an amazing spirit. Just man, knowing that she was literally arrested for
Yeah.
braiding hair and held on to her values and determined to say, no, you don't get to put regulations on what's a natural hair braiding. It's a requirement for Black hair. There was that effort to essentially require hair braiders to go through the predominantly white training to be able to become braiders. They were trying to force that. And I know she fought very, very hard and was successful in the end, but it was a long battle. It was a very, very long battle and lots of court cases, and being able to say that, yeah, she was arrested for braiding hair. I'll find a link and post her story. She actually has a documentary coming out soon, so really excited to share her story as well. But yeah, essentially, being arrested for hair braiding is outrageous, and it was, just an example of the Black tax,
Yeah.
our mere existence. So anyway, well, thank you again. I definitely appreciate your perspective and insight, and am grateful again for your time on here. I'm going to take you off the panel now and bring up some current Black female beauty supply owners and get their perspective on a couple of things that, one, you've mentioned, but also from their perspective, what they're experiencing, and hopefully galvanize around these ladies. And they are currently in Colorado, so just a unique experience with a population of that's 4% Black in the state. So we know that experience is a little different than even Texas, Tennessee that made 50K in 3 hours. Like, just a little different. But again, Will, thank you. Do you have any final words or words of encouragement for us?
Yeah, first of all, it was such an honor to be on here. So thank you for inviting me. And I just want to say, um, you know, again, I believe 10 years it's gonna change. So please just don't be afraid. One of the biggest things I recognize when I go talk to braiders is that they're afraid to step out and try it on their own. But I just want to tell you, listen, if Asian people can go and do something like this, you guys can do so much more. So within the next 10 years, it's going to change. Just please don't give up. Keep going. And you have my support. So love you guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks again. Bye. Wow. Talk about validation. Absolutely. Will, thank you again. And now I want to highlight one of the Curls on the Block partners, Shay's Natural Beauty Supply. And a couple of years ago is when I met Sabrina Williams. I'm going to bring her on, and she's going to talk about a few things. I have some questions for her. And if you have questions, definitely drop them in on the experience as a Black beauty supply owner. And if you have ideas on how to support these ladies coming up, definitely put them in the box, put them in the comments, and we'll be able to share and get some insight as well. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, great. Yes.
Awesome. How are you doing today?
You know, not gonna lie, I was not feeling the best.
We made it.
I was really excited for this conversation. I even have my Curls on the Block mug.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be here to come and share with the entire world what it is like to be a Black beauty supply owner. And thank you so much for having Will on, hearing it firsthand from that wholesale distributor that we actually work with, which is super amazing to see all of the things that he's been doing to help people like me, and even the newest Black-owned beauty supply stores that have recently opened here in Colorado and nationwide. I think that is so amazing. And so thank you, Will. We appreciate people like you who stand out and try to help us, right? With the industry that is ours, 100% ours, but we have no control over. So thank you so much. My name is Sabrina, and I help manage and operate Shay's Beauty Supply store here in Aurora, Colorado. Just a few things. We actually opened back up last, I want to say June of 2017. So it has been a while. And I am just so excited about other beauty supply stores opening up and being so brave and courageous, resilient to step out in an industry, again, that is not even ours, to try to take control back of what we use and the things we buy every single day to look our best. So that's a little bit about me.
So I have a few questions. Thank you for that introduction. She's right there in Aurora, Colorado. Tag a beauty supply owner, folks. We have to know. And also we want to get their tags because Curls on the Block app is actually available for download. And Shay's is on there as one of the beauty supply stores. However, I know that there's new ones in Colorado, but also nationwide. So we want to make sure that the Curly directory is accurate and up to date. So tag a beauty supply owner, and we want to get them on the Curls on the Block app. This is a resource that Curls on the Block definitely has prioritized and invested in, having our own app. The Curly directory is an opportunity for Black-owned businesses and Black female-owned businesses to be highlighted, to get push notifications sent to over, at this point, 1,000 users. We have discounts and all this, greatness for folks to download. But also the resource, the Curly directory, takes you straight to the business owner's website. And so you don't have to go searching and, well, where's this? A lot of times people are posting on Facebook, like, where's the local, Now you can actually see the directions. It has a map of the world, but focuses on United States, and you can zoom in on the state that you want to find. So you can see the list, and it's really great and functional, and it'll help Curls on the Block. So thank you again, Sabrina, for being here. One of the questions I had was, it came up from a conversation we've had in the past when I visited, and I was just curious, what are the most best-selling products that are hot off the shelves? Like, what's hot off the shelf at Shay's Natural Beauty Supply, considering the natural beauty, natural hair phenomenon, the push has come back and it's pretty much sustaining. However, I want to know which products, do people go to your store for the most?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I will say there's a couple. I will name the top three. So as far as products for specifically like our updo right now, right? The fro, the curly fro. I will say our number one product is Chubby Curls. For us Coloradans, we know that it is just so dry here. And I'm so grateful for Manishka, the fact that she created a product specifically for this Colorado dry weather. And Chubby Curls is hot off of our shelf like some hot pancakes. Okay. The day we get it in, it is out literally within 3-4 days. And so it is an amazing product. The other things that I will say is the braiding hair. The braiding hair is our top seller as far as actual hair products go, which is amazing because it's one of the biggest products that we really don't have any control over. That and the actual wigs. So wigs and hair extensions are our next top selling products, which is another issue having access to. It's really sad that most of the time we don't even buy products for the wholesale price. Sometimes we buy them at retail and we have to upcharge because of the lack of control that we have over like that buying power that we'll be talking about. We don't have that. And partially with our circumstances of how small our store is. I know some companies, Vivica Fox is one of them that we have not been able to get an account with because they want us to have an account where when we order, they want it to be plus $1,000, $10,000. And it's like, we just don't have the capacity for a $10,000 order. And that's an idea. I know you were asking for like suggestions from Will for any newcomers into the industry when it does come to products and trying to figure out what is selling. I think that it's best that we work together so that we can get those bigger accounts that they are looking for to work together, buy the products together so that we can be selling the products that people actually want instead of having to go third party buying at retail just to get what people want in our stores. So Chubby Curls, braiding hair, wigs, and hair extensions.
Wow. And, definitely interesting, but, I guess not surprising, right? People love to have their hair done. And if you can have it braided, it lasts a bit longer. One of the things that even Will mentioned, actually, I didn't get to in the presentation was the health of our hair, and that is a black tax, our scalps, but Will hit it head on, literally. He, mentioned that the products aren't even that good for our scalps. And the people who are creating it and selling it to the beauty supplies, they're not caring. And Chris Rock made a documentary called Good Hair a decade ago, and I remember watching it in college and was just fascinated to see the main ingredients and relaxers, but also just the process of creating hair. It's other people's hair, but that before it's distributed, the process is they take the hair through, actually add chemicals that end up in our scalps. And so actually, spoiler alert, next week, the 22nd, I have another conversation with Latch and Hook founder, who is one of the first Black women owners of a extension and braiding hair company. And she actually has showed her experience in, creating a product that actually was considering the impact on the scalps and how come it's healthier for, as braiding hair, it's healthier for the Black woman, and it's considerate of our needs. So anyway, I just had all these thoughts at once, and for braiding hair to be a number two, but really number one, it's like, wow. That's where we're at.
that was part of our mission, as why we even opened up Shay's Beauty Supply, Natural Beauty Supply. We actually recently changed it to just Shay's Beauty Supply Store, because I think the natural piece was throwing people off, because people, unfortunately, Black women are not wanting to embrace. I think we're headed more down that road. I think it's a little bit more acceptable for Black women, especially. Great job, Annalise, with the Crown Act, being involved in that. Thank you so much. But I think that is truly impacting where we're going. And so that's really why we had to change our name even to Shay's Beauty Supply, because the natural was throwing people off. Our initial mission was to create an environment where Black women could come in, one, get advice on how to properly take care of their hair, not using the braiding hair and the wigs and the crochets. And that was our initial mission. But we quickly saw how that was not going to get us where we wanted to go with expanding our business and expanding just helping people in general. And so we did have to quickly start buying more braiding hair, buying more wigs, buying more human hair extensions, which again, it's still our mission. When people come in, I do my very best to advise them to take care of their hair in the best way possible, even with some protective styles, better ways to do it so you're not pulling and this. And I try my best. Most people don't like to hear that, but for me, at the end of the day, I know 5 years from now, when these people are having issues because of the chemicals that are in these products, because of the chemicals that are sprayed onto this hair. And I know people are going to look back and say, wow, Shay's Beauty Supply always made sure that I had another option to properly take care of my hair. And so that was really the main reason why we opened our business. And I actually want to share another reason why we opened our business is because when my parents were doing research on why we should even start a beauty supply store, we found that over 70% of the 10,000 beauty supply stores that are here in the United States, they are not owned by Black women, Black people in general. They were owned by the Korean industry, which is, it's mind blowing, because we are 100% of their consumers, and we have no control over the industry. And so we came in with a fight to say we are going to get our industry back, and we are going to serve and love our women while doing so. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that actually segues into one of the last questions I have for you. It wasn't really listed in the prep questions. However, how has COVID impacted your company and your beauty supply? And was that different from before the, COVID restrictions?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I'll give you the beforehand. We were on a steady trend of our sales rising and things like that before COVID hit. I think the location we chose is a good location. However, when COVID hit, we were stressed. At that point, we did not have a sustainable website that allowed our delivery option to really be accessed. And so we were having to do a lot of makeshift to make it work, because we were like, if we cannot sell these products face to face with people, which is what we do best, our customer service and our expertise and our knowledge is what stands out amongst the Korean beauty supply stores. And we're like, man, if we can't do that, what are we going to do? So I tell you, y'all, it's possible to create a website in a day. It's possible. And that's what we did. And honestly, Annalise, it was amazing at the fact that we actually made the most amount of money we have ever made in the history of us being open during the actual shutdown, where most stores, locations were closed. Actually, all the locations in Colorado were closed. And it was really sad when people would call to ask if we were open, and we would say yes. And they say, well, thank God you were my last option.
Oh, what?
Or thank God. I'm just so glad that you guys were open, because Hair Joy is not open. It's like the disrespect. I mean, we were proud of the fact that we found a way to still support our women and still love on them in the midst of a global pandemic. And the return of the love and the respect was not there. And like I said, we made the most amount of money doing same day delivery, getting people their hair supplies so they could look good on Zoom, just like we were there when nobody else was. And I will tell you, Annalise, the day that all the other beauty supply stores opened back up, it was a major decline in sales for us. And what's even crazier is the day everybody else opened back up, I drove by one of the beauty supply stores, because it's actually just a light from us. And there was a line around the building. And it breaks my heart, because when people come into our store, we greet them with love. Not because we're trying to one up people, but because people deserve it. We've been treated so horribly at these other beauty supply stores, and we know firsthand. So we want to make sure that when people come into our stores, they feel like they're family, they feel like they are loved and they are respected. And to see that happen when the beauty supply store opened back up, and we were not people's first choice, even in the midst of being their last option and being their saving grace when everything shut down. I cried. I cried because of how hurt we were,
Yeah, that's a lack of support in the community, from the community. Yeah, wow. I didn't know that story. Wow.
Yeah.
That makes you, question, okay, the investment you've made, it makes you wonder, what do we tolerate? Because we know it's, I've been to the other supply stores and, been even referred by a beauty stylist, a hairstylist, to a couple of them, and not to yours necessarily. So it is definitely interesting.
Other ones. I mean, there was one that just had a grand opening, which is congratulations if you're on tonight. I'm so proud of you for going out there, and I think it's on like Colfax and almost Monaco almost. I cannot remember the name, but congratulations. Even Velvet Beauty, boutique. It's like, oh my gosh, like that is so amazing that we're seeing all these Black women try to take our industry back. And I will tell you, it's a hard road. And for a while we were alone.
Yeah.
But see so many popping up, that grit and the perseverance and the determination to put yourselves out there to try to gain our industry back. Y'all don't even know how much joy it brings to my life to see, wow, there are other people who want to bring our industry back. So,
well, on that note, I'm just going to say we got a couple months with you focusing on the Curly Commandment kits that are coming. So it'll be a box full of basically what essentials you need to start this hair journey or maintain it. The Curly Commandments are definitely, central to Curls on the Block as far as the curriculum, and where we start with embracing ourselves, learning the Curly Commandments. If you want the download, let me know. It will be available on the website soon, and so you can download the Curly Commandments, but you can actually pre-order the commandment kits if you do so in the next week, and you'll get a huge discount for the commandment kits. And this is an opportunity to support you and get some of those items, moving and into the hands of families that definitely could benefit from it. We have a lot of girls who don't really know what to do with their hair. I'm working with schools and even some mixed families, who have kids who are adopted and have white parents who never dealt with curly, coily, kinky, afro puffy hair. They need something to start with. And this is Curls on the Block's first big product that, it's a huge endeavor. And I'm grateful for our opportunity to work together and get these boxes out. So, get them on your shelves. They'll be available online as well. So get that pre-order in. Do you have any last words?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Annalise, for allowing me to come on here to inspire other people who have had the thought, should I open a beauty supply store? Absolutely, you should. Absolutely, you should. The more that are open, the more that the industry, sees that, oh my goodness, there are so many people who are opening, who are Black, who want to make an impact in this world. And it is totally possible as long as we work together. We got to work together. That's how the Koreans did it. We could do it too. We got to work together. So thank you so much. Thank you. You're amazing. Curls on the Block. If anybody watching, if you have young teenagers, Annalise is doing an excellent job in the community, teaching these young girls all about the STEAM and just how to really love and embrace themselves and obviously their curls. Okay. So I love you so much.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Wow. Thank you again, Sabrina. And I just want to bring up another guest who is another Black female beauty supply owner and was willing to join pretty much at the last minute. So I appreciate it and would love to bring her up. Okay. Hello. Velvet Boutique Beauty. I like that tie-dye head wrap. Okay, I'm feeling it.
Washed this morning, so the curls are under wrap for now.
Look, it looks good. Well, if you don't mind, could you introduce yourself, your name and your store and how long you've been open?
Okie dokie. I am Alorm Velvet, and I am the founder and owner of Velvet Boutique Beauty. We are here in Montbello, Colorado, so kind of like a hop, skip, and jump from Aurora, essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, we opened back on September 21st.
Wow.
2020 is when we opened. And yeah, what led me to opening is everything that's been said tonight and wanting to actively be a part of taking back a business that should have been ours to begin.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so in Montbello, what's the intersections for those in Colorado?
I am on 46th and Peoria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like right off of I-70 right here, and between Rusty's Smoke Shop and the Jamaican barbecue restaurant. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So you can get some grub and some gear and some hair supplies.
At least that's what I was hoping. So far, most of the foot traffic that I get is people mistakenly coming in here to go to the smoke shop. And unfortunately, not a lot of them are the demographic that I'm looking for or that would necessarily shop here. But at least, we got a little action happening.
Wow. Well, you know what? Foot traffic is the start. And then, we definitely want to add you to the Curls on the Block app in the Curly directory. And I would love to hear from you what your experience has been thus far. I mean, you just opened in September. Mm-hmm. COVID impacted a lot of people. How have you been faring?
It's been tough. Actually tougher than I thought it would be, because when I opened, I made sure that when we opened, we had a website that had everything, that was here in the store, so that people that weren't able to get out was able to shop and, offer the local deliveries and things like that. So it's like the website has helped a little bit, but it's basically having to shut down after opening kind of was a little bit tough, but I'm confident that it's gonna pick up. I have the confidence that's gonna happen.
Yeah. You know what? On that note, how can we support you? I didn't get a chance to ask Sabrina necessarily, but how could, the viewers and folks who are in Colorado or abroad, how could we support you during this time?
Just visit the website. If you're in the area, stop in, and I'm just trying to get more of the local community bought into it, and just getting the word out. And with me being so new, it is the fact that a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't even realize you were here, and things like that. So it's like I got my signage up and all of those big things that will pull the attention here. But it's just connecting more with my natural hair folks, because you also see a lot in the hair groups, like Sabrina was saying, a lot less people have embraced their natural hair than I thought by this point.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, like it's been 10 years, like you said, since the good hair. So I would have thought by now we would have had a little more pickup on people wanting to deal with their natural crowns. And no, everyone's looking for a bundle.
That was, yeah, definitely the experience that Sabrina and I have chatted about in the past, like when I would visit and just hang out, and it is conflicting, right? Because we have this push on social media to an extent, but in actuality, the average person is not actually wearing their natural curly hair out. And
it's like, I understand, the whole protective styling aspect of it. So that's where, I have the braid hair and crocheting hair and so things, but I just don't see how beneficial in the long term, like you said, that can be for your hair. And so just trying to get more people to want to embrace the natural. And that's a big focus of my store, is catering to those with natural curly hair. So I don't want to necessarily change that, but I'm sitting on this one style bundle that I got here, and we'll see.
Well, hopefully we can get some lash and hook at both sites, and it at least is Black female owned and considerate of the exact issues that we've heard, just the health of our scalps and the health of our hair long term. Our bodies are important, and that's the Black tax on our bodies. Like the hair and beauty industry literally is our skin and body, and it's connected to us. And so
and I want to be able to cater to that, from head to toe, essentially, natural body care, natural hair care, makeup, and things that are more, ethically made. And so that's a large focus that I have, in addition to having as many of my product lines being Black owned product lines that are guaranteed, researchable, verifiable, Black owned.
So who's in your store right now? Because we have a viewer on here who definitely tagged you anyway. She was shocked to see you. But who's in your store right now? Is a natural hair care line or body skincare?
I have chubby curls, obviously. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite products right now is this right here, the Serene Naturals. And this sweet rub, oh my goodness. That's all I can say.
Nice.
So that's one of my favorite products. And then the chubby curls. And then another product that I got in. This is another Black woman product line. And I forget where she's based out of. I almost want to say Atlanta. But it's BU. And it's another body care line. And this Yoni Scrub Pussy Fairy is one of the best sellers right
now. Well, that's good to know. Look, I actually had heard about that product, so I'm gonna have to order some from you. I'm just gonna post Serene Naturals website up here so people can also see more from her line. Thank you for watching, Angela, and appreciate you for committing to the curly community and overall health of our Black women's bodies. So let's see. As far as your experience as a Black female beauty supply owner, what are some ideas that you have for the next quarter? Like, what's in quarter one of 2021? We're already halfway through January, my friend. Like, what is
I'm gonna work more on my website. I'm getting some website coaching help. So I can get that more geared towards sales and just pushing things. And my main thing for the quarter is, as much as I can, getting out in my neighborhood and getting more folks in, because like I live in a very Hispanic and Black area, so there's no reason why I shouldn't have y'all coming in the door. So, yeah, so that's a goal for the quarter, and just learning as much as I can to help me grow and help me to be able to, like Sabrina said, have the funds to connect with these other stores and get these larger accounts that we're not able to get because we don't make that much to be able to put that much into something like that.
And that reminds me. So first of all, let me just put this out there in the atmosphere. Y'all gonna get these accounts. Gonna bring it in. But I will say, sorry, I'm just like excited for you. I'm also nervous, but I feel like I want to highlight even how COVID, you said, there was still kind of another lockdown essentially, but were you even able to receive any financial support, from any grants? I mean, you don't have to answer, but what was your experience with, financial support?
That has been my largest barrier from the beginning to now. And the fact that I have either been ineligible because I wasn't open long enough, or it was just some sort of other qualification. And a lot of it, it's your sales revenues and the personal credit and just generally the Black tax that I face every day in my life. It was a factor here, which I thought would not be the case, because I was like, I thought people wanted to help, minority women open businesses and things like that, but apparently they don't. No matter how much they say and they claim and they lead you through the process, they really don't.
Speak on it. They got to know that it's just been smoke and mirrors. They say there's an investment in Black.
That's really all it is. So I've, thankful have a partner that was able to, we sat down and was like, we can take this from home right now and build something that will be larger in the end. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and just, piece by piece working on it.
Well, I really appreciate you joining in on the conversation and being able to highlight your experience. And I really am hopeful that we can actually build a better relationship. Curls on the Block, it looks for partnerships all the time. And the work I've done with, and been supported by Shays, I definitely think we all are here to support each other, because as we can tell, other communities learn how to do that. And
something that I watch and I'm like, why is it so hard for us to support each other? And with what Sabrina was saying, with the customers coming in and saying, that they were the last resort, and like, why would you even say that to someone?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like people that come in here, they're like, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that. No, because I'm looking to carry other things, so trying to gear that conversation into a positive way when they're automatically coming in negatively and you're expecting them to come in positive, it's a bit to adjust with. And
Yeah. Well, I am looking to, again, just and continue to encourage, as I say, is like the tagline, encourage our Black women and curl friends to stay curly. It's just real, staying curly. It does require internal work. And so Curls on the Block mission is to attract girls of all curls and colors to embrace, explore, and empower their natural selves. And we use beauty to explore careers and a connection to STEAM, because in one space, we have to accept who we are, and then we have to see how who we are is connected to STEAM. And despite lack of representation, we are able to stand in these spaces, starting up our own businesses, creating products that are addressing the needs of the curly community using STEAM, right? And then really the beauty industry is huge, but some jobs that are going to be out here in the next 20 something years at six figures, they're in the STEM field. And so we have to, it starts with embracing, and that has to start really young, because, the later that process begins of acceptance, the more layers you got to pull back and really heal from. But with
let us have in, say, 8 years, let our next president or VP candidate have a big natural curly fro. Like, that's okay. and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous, and just getting more to do that inner work and understanding that you were made beautiful already. So embrace that.
Absolutely. Well, speak on it. Look. Well, I would love to do a highlight. I'm actually going to have my teen Miss Curly Colorado, Kendall Gomez. I'm going to have her reach out to you so we can get a highlight of your boutique and add you to the Curls on the Block app and add you to the Curly directory. So Sterling Naturals is on the directory too. Man, so is Shay's. So I'm really excited to see how we can work together and, again, just supporting your future. And we want to see you make it to that year. Okay. So we want to see this upcoming September, we want an outlook that is definitely prosperous and fulfilling, and get you that foot traffic that's intentional.
Yes.
Well, thank you again. And,
Thank you.
It's such an honor to chat. It's so scary starting your own business. So, thank you for committing to that. And I look forward to seeing more from you and sharing stuff on our social media. We have about 4,000 folks on Instagram, just under 2,000 for Facebook. And, we're definitely building our reach as well. So as long as we can work together, I see a really great future.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, folks, I hope that you learned a lot, and you obviously heard directly from the Black women and owners of beauty supply stores, and also from an industry perspective. You heard from Will, and he represents a hair braiding company that is Korean owned, and he himself is Korean. So him sharing his experience and being able to highlight what we already knew existed really has been eye-opening and validating, to an extent, but also makes you consider, where can we fill in these gaps, and who's going to take on the work to mend the relationships with the Korean community and the Black community. Where's the accountability, and what is the future gonna hold? So we know that Black female ownership of beauty supply stores is on the rise, and so hopefully it's really get on the train or get run over at this point. So, but also, ladies, and go to, and men, you got beards, you got afros, you got, some waves. Buy your supplies from a Black beauty supply store. That's your challenge this weekend. Just buy a brush. Dang, you can't never have enough brushes. Good grief. Go buy a do-rag. You lose them, so go get it. But if you really want some more supplies, pre-order the Curly kit, the Curly Commandment kit. And that is actually a box that will be including over 10 items that will basically be your startup kit. So all the essentials that link to the Curly Commandments. So definitely check out the Curls on the Block store. And I'm going to post that again. I posted it somewhere else. And you can buy our merch here. It's pretty basic right now, but that's okay. It will be incorporated to the Curls on the Block website soon, but there's a bunch of merchandise there. And in the meantime, like I said, be intentional and find where some Black beauty supply owners are and endorse them. And one of the things we do know about the Black beauty supply stores, they are opening with products made by other Black women. So we know that when you support a Black beauty supply store, you're also supporting Black women owners of different companies. You have Chubby Curls, which was mentioned multiple times. You have Serene Naturals, and there's a number of other partners listed on the Curls on the Block app in the Curly directory, which is free to download. But I did spoil it a little bit. But next week, Tiffany Gatlin is going to join us for the Black Tax, and she is the founder and creator and owner of Latched and Hooked, which is a Black female-owned and created hair braiding company. And so she's going to share her experience starting that up and her intentionality behind safe products for our Black scalps. So don't forget and join us next week. Thanks again, and I look forward to sharing more on the Black Tax. We actually have a number of products that we're going to be highlighting and owners of companies throughout the month of January. So stay tuned and stay curly.